Hello and welcome to another edition of Up the Reds. This one's called Has the Tide Turned Against FSG? So this is not FSG out, this is not FSG in. I just want to give you my intake of what's happened since we've had the owners at the club. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Some of you already know this one, some of you might not, so it'll be a bit of an education for all of us on here. So, why did FSG buy Liverpool Football Club? Or should I say, their name before they turned FSG was called New England Sports Ventures. So the principal owner is obviously John Henry, and Tom Werner's there as well, who's our club chairman. Now, this business was set up in 2001, primarily to get like-minded investors into putting money into sports adventures. So, obviously, the Boston Red Sox was acquired by that company, New England Sports Ventures. They had other pies as well in other sports businesses and companies. But anyway, so let's get to 2009 then. The two cowboys that were running it before, if you remember the names, George Gillette and Tom Hicks, they bought in Christian Perslow to sell the club or to find a new owner. There was quite a bit of debt that was hanging over the club. That was due to the Royal Bank of Scotland nearly going bust and had to have a government bailout, so it affected all businesses, and Liverpool was one of them. So it turned a bit ugly. Christian Perslow was trying to do his job, but Gillette and Hicks sort of like were putting obstacles in the way. I don't think they really wanted to relinquish the club because they'd have had to finance the debt. So the Royal Bank of Scotland stepped in and took the Cowboys to court. And the High Court judge said that there was a case to answer for against Gillette and Hicks, and that the two owners should reconstitute the board and get three members on there. Now, one of them was Christian Perslow, the other one was Ian Ayre, and the most important one was Martin Broughton. He was then the chairman of British Airways. So, obviously, a vote was had, 3-2, about selling the club, and the ball got started rolling. So, that was very important because people don't realise we were on the verge of going into administration. The club had a massive debt. It needed to sell. Apparently there was 113 interested parties. Only two were viable ones. One was New England Sports Ventures, and the other one was from a South Asian Singapore businessman, Peter Lim. Now, the club was sold for 300 million. Peter Lim came in with a last-minute bid of 300 million and also instantly 40 million for transfers. But the board had voted in for John Henry and Co. to take over the club. Now, that was a great time to have been a Liverpool fan because we were saved from the brink, and I literally mean from the brink. So people just must remember that when New England Sports Ventures came in, they literally did save the club. So it wasn't long after that the name changed to Fenway Sports Group, and as we know it today. So let's start. It wasn't easy for the FSG to come in. The first 13 months weren't very good. The club was still making a loss. As you would expect, it was carrying a huge debt. There was lots of things that were going around. So, the takeover of the club. Manager, Roy Hodgson, was in charge. He was brought in July by the old administration. And we know what happened with Roy Hodgson. He was gone by January. He wasn't what majority of the supporters wanted. To lose, I remember going to the Blackpool game and losing 2-0, and then getting home and watching him saying the presenter said, or the journalist said to him, are you in a relegation battle? We're third or fourth or fifth, maybe from bottom. And he said, yeah, Liverpool Football Club is in a relegation battle. Do one, son. I mean, I never really liked him being at the club. So I was chomping at the bits to get Jurgen Klopp in. He was doing a great job at Dortmund. I thought he would be ideal, but it was not to be the case. Kenny Dalglish came in January of 2011 as interim, and then obviously he won the League Cup with us, and he was taken on permanently. But I just thought that was a bit premature. Again, we were just doing a stopgap. Believe me, I've watched King Kenny play all over the place. He's a legend at the club. But football had moved on. Times had moved on. The game was ever expanding. So another vacancy came up. And I don't know if it was about this time. Roberto Martinez, the Belgian manager, the former Everton manager, was interviewed for the job, or he was seen with a photograph in New York with John Henry walking down one of the big avenues there. And again, I thought, no, we can't be going down this road. And then out of, I don't think it was out of the blue, but his name was mentioned. Brendan Rodgers took over in June 2012. And believe me, I still can't. I think it was whatever that documentary was in, I forget what channel it was, Being Liverpool or something like that. I remember the first night before the first game, they're all in the hotel room, and that image really does haunt me. I can't believe it. He's talking to the players. He calls them in at 7 o'clock at night, and he said, you're playing for Liverpool Football Club. These 3 envelopes that I've got here have your name in them because you will let down Liverpool Football Club. Well, that was me with Brendan Rodgers from that day. He was very, very lucky he stayed in that position as long as he did. He had Sturridge playing at his best. He had Luis Suarez playing at his best. He had Gerrard playing at his best. He had other few players playing at their best. But believe me, it was never going to turn out really good. Good for him. We're still talking about FSG, by the way, because these are the managers that they'd brought into the club. Obviously, I was happy that he was gone. Again, I was screaming and shouting for Jurgen Klopp, and finally Jurgen was taken on, and he turned us doubters into believers and won everything for the club. So he came in October the 8th, 2015. things didn't go well for him in the first few games, but they wouldn't do because he had his way of playing, etc. And there was a formula that was being used about bringing players in. So that must have been discussed when Jurgen first came to the club. So yeah, and the fruitful time of FSG owning Liverpool Football Club began to flourish. Some people might say, or others might disagree. Jurgen Klopp had a great squad. It's obviously aged since he brought the players in with Michael Edwards, who was called a genius for getting rock bottom prices for players. Mo Salah, Sadio. Okay, we paid premium for Alisson Becker and Virgil van Dijk, and that was on the back of a sale for a player who didn't want to play for Liverpool Football Club anymore. He thought Barcelona was a lot bigger, and that was one Philip Coutinho, and we know what's happened to his career since. But thanks, Philip, for saying that you didn't want to play for one of the best managers in the world and one of the best clubs in the world, and that you wanted to go elsewhere. And to be quite honest, you failed there as a footballer. No love lost with me on that. So have FSG been good to us? Well, they made mistakes. 2016 was one of many U-turns. They wanted to increase the prices to come and watch a game of football at Anfield. I think the main stand ticket would have been £77. That is a lot of money. And I know they were building a new stand, the main stand. It was £114 million to get in an extra 8,500 seats. And believe me, it's a great stand to have at the club. It's absolutely awesome. Those of you who've been to Anfield and watched games from there, no restricted views. You remember the old stand. You were sort of like the main stand view was not very good at all. They did the U-turn because in the same season we had a home game against Sunderland, which we drew 2-2, but thousands upon thousands of Liverpool fans protested and left the ground, and I think that was a massive eye-opener for the American owners to think, wow, we can't do this price increase, because it was going against Shankly's principles at the club and everything else. So, but yeah, that was the first of many. There was also where they wanted to ban the banners in the Kop, which never came to anything. Spirits of Shankly were involved in negotiations with the club. The club then decided that it needed to get supporters on board, which it did do. There was a supporters committee raised, so that's still working today. And then in 2020, the COVID outbreak, they decided to put the non-playing staff on furlough. Another bad, stupid decision made by the owners. Again, that was rescinded. An apology was made. So, but the biggest gaffe came in 2021 when a statement was made that Liverpool Football Club was joining the European Super League. No discussions with the staff, the manager, the players. It was just thinking, right, we're going to go into this big league with the big teams around Europe. and within 48 hours, John Henry had to come on LFC TV, on YouTube, and publicly apologise for not taking the fans' views again, into in interview there. But yeah, so you can see the catalyst of mistakes. They'll probably be making more mistakes before they do things right anyway. But they were they're the negatives from there. Look at the pros on that. Well, they've given us 2 new stands. They've given us an excellent, up-to-date training facility. Where possible, they have given funds for players. We can't deny the fact, the players like Alisson made a difference. Virgil's made a difference. Mo Salah made a difference. Sadio made a difference. Things like that, So, and it just gelled the team what it is. And you've got to look at Robertson. I know it was a model that was used by the players cheap, get them in, sell them at peak. But I think that that model has changed. They've also made the Liverpool brand even bigger now. I mean, the latest figures saying that FSG themselves are worth something in the region of $9.8 billion. Work that out to be about, 8.5 or whatever, silly money, billion pounds. And that's for all the investments that they have. Now, Liverpool's brand, what is it worth today in today's market? Well, according to Deluche, or Deluche, however you pronounce Deloitte, sorry, not Deluche, Deloitte, Football Money, making part of the organisation. They've got Liverpool worth about £1.4 billion. Wow. Just mentioning on that European Super League, when that was being muted about, FSG did have a bid of 300 billion to buy the club, which was turned down. Now, it was an it was a Middle East consortium, but FSG said no, they weren't in the market of selling. And why would they? It probably makes them more money at their whole branding business. So that's where we are at the moment. The club's not going to be for sale in the foreseeable future. There's one of their chiefs called Sam Kennedy. The Americans call it looking after assets. He looks after FSG's assets, and obviously Liverpool is certainly one of those. And he's been talking recently about doing some more upgrades at Anfield. That FSG are here for the long haul, and they're looking at doing upgrades for their other businesses that they own. So it brings me down really to this season. Clearly, it's in evidence that something is not 100% right at the club between the manager and the board. I know there's an £80 million stand being built at the Anfield Road end. and that needs to be paid for. It probably is being paid for. So something's not evidently right, and we can blame FSG for that. We can part blame the manager for that if we've not had the players in. I mean, Jurgen's bit was that he had enough midfielders, 9, 10 in total. But however, it looked like early doors we needed at least one, maybe two midfielders, the age, 24, 25, 26, coming in and stepping up to the way that we played. And it's inevitable that this squad is aged with youngsters in it, nothing in between. We are going through a transition season. We have to be now. FSG will be disappointed if we don't finish fourth, because that would be their prerequisite for anybody managing the team, that we are in Champions League, because the amount of money that small competition makes is unbelievable. I mean, we've got through the group stages already this season, and we've earned £20 million. That's just staggering. £20 million is absolutely staggering. So yeah, just digressing again. Sorry. So yeah, there's something not right with what's going on in the transfer market since Michael Edwards has left. Yes, we managed to get Diaz in, Jota. Diaz and Nunes. I think Jota might have come prior to Michael Edwards going. But there's something not right with Julian Ward, with the board, with the manager, because we are very weak in certain areas of the playing staff, and we are using players that shouldn't be playing those high intensity games now. A lot of people are saying it's about mentality. The mental strength's gone from the team because they've had X amount of years at playing full throttle, but I'm not so sure at all. Right now, I wish it was the World Cup so we could all take a breather. It's evidently needed. We need to get the players that are injured back quickly. We need to get a club doctor. There's no club doctor still at the club. I don't know who's making the sports injuries scientific decisions, because you will hear Jurgen Klopp say, I'm told he's not available. And you know what my thoughts about that is. I'd ask the lad, are you fit? Yeah, right, let's go. If he's not fit, you'll soon find out. So that's my intake on FSG. Now it's for you guys to decide whether they're losing it. The tide's turn. They're not supporting the manager, the club. So you've seen my pros, you've seen my cons. 1.something billion is a lot of money to buy Liverpool Football Club. Don't forget, we'll be carrying a debt as well. I'm not so sure what that debt is. We did make a profit a couple of seasons back, but if you look at our wage structure now, there's been so many wage increases since that, rather than player recruitment. The likes of Alisson has had a pay rise, Virgil's had a pay rise, Joe Gomez, Trent, you've got Mo Salah's had a massive pay rise. So the wage structures move from the club, so they'll be carrying a debt. How do FSG make the money? Well, match day revenue, um, obviously season tickets, TV rights, um, and also membership. Now, I'm a member. I have to be a member to get a ticket to go and watch Liverpool play. So there you go. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you like, please share. Please subscribe. I'm just building up this channel. Okay, it is up the Reds, all things Liverpool. It will be positive. It will be negative. I want your feedback. We are Liverpool Football Club. We got the best fans in the world. When we don't like anything, we make noise so we are heard. Okay, enjoy the rest of the day. Up the Reds.